welcome to Stitch by Stacy. Today we're going to be talking about how to shorten a pair of pants. And I'm not talking about hemming, because if you're short like me, you already know how to hem, because basically you have to hem every pair of pants you own. I mean, everyone tells me, why don't you just buy petites? I wish I could, but my inseam is too long for petites, but too short for regular length pants. So, always have to hem. I bought this really cool pair of jeans though, and there's a detail at the bottom that I don't want to lose. Let me show you. Okay, so I love these. They have the paper bag waist. It is elastic drawstring. Pockets, of course, love. And here's the pant legs. I love the fringe that's on the bottom of these, and I don't want to lose it. So I have decided that what I need to do is try them on and figure out how big of a section I need to cut out of the pants, sew the bottom portion back on, but then it's like, well, I'm going to have a seam. So let me show you what my next solution is. So I found this awesome trim. I love this. It has a little bit of a retro feel to it. So I thought what I would do is I would cut out, I'd figure out how big of a section I need to cut out. I'm guessing I'm probably going to need to take 3 inches out. I am probably going to have to make a little adjustment because these pants are a bit wider at the bottom than they are a little further up. They do slightly elephant. I think back in the 70s they referred to them not as bell bottoms but elephant legs because they were big all the way from the top, but they did gradiate out just a little bit. So probably gonna have to make that adjustment, but that's okay. But I would use this trim to then sew around and cover the seam where I sew the bottom portion back on to the pants. I'm hoping that I want to get these done today because we're going to be celebrating my mom's birthday this weekend. We're going out of town, and I thought, let me show you the shirt. Oops, there we go. I just throw stuff around. I love this shirt. My Stevie Nicks shirt. I love this. I thought this would be really cute with these pants if they were the right length, and then, you know, having this trim will really add to it. So fingers crossed that it goes well. First things first, we have to determine where we want the pants to end. So in order to do that, I'm going to back up. I'm going to use a yardstick, and I'm going to put it down beside me on the ground and kind of get an idea. So let's lower the camera so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right. So I've got my shoes on I'm going to be wearing. I'm going to be wearing these little flat black sandals. I'm going to hold this right beside me because it's really hard to measure your own length. So, you know, if you bend over, it doesn't work. So have a yardstick. All right, so I want to hold this right here. And I have an idea of where I want it to fall. So I'm just looking at where the words are, where it says, do you have it covered? So, let's see. From the ground, I need to come up 10 inches. So for my ankle, I would say we need to come up about 8.5. Okay. So it looks like I'm going to have to bring it up 8.5 inches. So I just have to decide how much of a section I need to take out on the pants and then seam them back together. Okay, so the first thing I did was just lay my pants out. And since I know that from the fringe, I wanted to come up about 8 inches. I went ahead and just measured from the bottom of the fringe up to about 8.5 inches on both legs. So coming from the ground up, and just made marks on either side. So what I'm going to do, because this is where I actually want it to end, and I have to decide how much of the material I want to see above this, like here. You know, how much material, how much of the denim do I want to see above this trim and below this trim before I get to the fringe? So I'm thinking that if I put the trim here, I think for the bottom of the jean, let me push this up. There we go. So let's say this is where the trim's going to go. I think I want about 3 inches. So from the fringe up, I'm going to mark 3 inches. So I think that's where I'm going to cut. I'll cut right across here. And then this section will then be added on to right here. And this piece of trim will go over top. So now it's time to get brave and pull out the scissors. And first, let's just cut across here on both legs, because this will be the part that we take off and we reattach up here. Okay, so to ensure that both legs are exactly the same, first thing I did was I took my pants from the inseam, crotch to crotch, there we go, folded them lengthwise in half, and just laid them out. Here we go. So they're exactly the same. Everything lines up all the way down. So you can see I have my mark here for the 8 inches, and then right here at the very bottom I laid out the fringe. So from fringe up is 3 inches. And so now here we go. We're just going to get brave and cut a straight line. Okay, now I'm actually going to, since this is the amount we want to use, we're going to lay it up here. Okay. Just so we can get a feel for how it's going to look. Oh, that's going to be cute. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut below this line just a little bit, because you're going to eventually turn this upside down and you're going to do a very narrow stitch to attach this to the top. So let's come down. How far are we coming down? Just so I can tell you. Otherwise, I would normally just eyeball it. But let's say we come down 1 inch. Okay? We're going to come down 1 inch. Let's just put a couple more marks just so it's easier. Here we go. So now we're going to cut right across here. And then we're going to be ready to attach this onto here. So let's just go ahead and do it. Take a deep breath. And we're just going to cut straight across. I know that seems like a lot, but like I told you, I am really short. So, and we'll hold on to this because this makes great patches. You never know what you're going to use a little bit of denim for. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to move on to attaching this back onto the pant legs and then adding our trim. Okay, now let me show you how I've done this. All I did was I laid my pant legs out. Amazingly, I'm not going to have to worry about taking in anything on the side seams. So if you do this and the bottom is too wide, you're going to have to measure where you're attaching it to and then take up those side seams before you attach it to the bottom of the leg. So basically all I did was I turned the piece that I'm attaching inside out like this, and then I lined it up, slid it up onto the pants so that right sides are together, and then I just started pinning, starting with the outside seam. Just get it to lay flat. There we go. And you'll do the same thing. So you pin your seams and then pin through the center. Once you're done, all you need, if you're using just a sewing machine, you might want to zigzag stitch this together first and then follow it up with a straight stitch. I'm using a serger and a sewing machine, so I'm actually going to serge my legs together, and then I'll probably still follow up with one straight stitch from my machine just to make sure it's nice and secure. So let's get these pinned together and sewn together. Again, if you're using a sewing machine, run a zigzag stitch, a narrow zigzag stitch to sew these together, and then right real close to it, run a straight stitch, and then meet me back here on the cutting table. Okay, so now we have the bottom portion sewn back onto the pant leg. And I think what I'm going to do is use this seam to line up the trim. Just barely come over the line, just a little bit. But that will certainly help to keep it straight. And then I still have, I actually love the placement of this. So now all you have to do is pin your trim on. I'm actually going to start this on the inside of the leg and go all the way around. Now, I would recommend, before you start this, put a clean cut on the end you're starting with. You see how it kind of fuzzed out a little bit? You can, one of two things. You can turn it over, like so, and start it. Or you can, since this is polyester, you can take a lighter and just barely touch down the edge, and it will finish off that end. Careful not to touch it right after you do it, because it will burn you. Blow on it to cool it, and then it's ready to go. You can just simply start right at that seam and start pinning. So let's get pinning, and we're almost done with our project. So let's find our pins. Like I said, I'm going to start this on the inside and just barely over top of that bottom seam. Just like that. So let's get yours pinned, sewn on, and then meet me back here. Okay, as you can see, I've got one leg done. So I don't know about you, but I found it very easy just to, I ran my bottom stitches first, and then was able to cut it off, melt the end with the lighter on this end, hold it in place very easily, and stitch around the top as well. Now I also, because this is where I started and ended, was on the inside, the inseam, I also ran a straight stitch from the top to the bottom. So this side is done. Now I want to make sure that when I'm standing up that everything matches. So we're going to do it this way. We're going to make sure from inseam to hem is the same. Oh, where's my lighter? Because I want to go ahead and let's put a fresh cut. Make sure it's nice and straight on the end. And again, I'm just going to use a little bit of flame just to melt that edge. Just a little bit. And there go my pins. Always drop something. Sorry about that. Okay. So now you can see what we're doing. I'm just going to match that up. Make absolutely for sure that when I'm standing that one leg doesn't have trim higher than the other. So there we go. Let's make absolutely for sure that we've got this in place. So just lay the pants out. Starting on the inseam. Bottom matches. Everything measures up. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to pin this in place, run stitches across the bottom, run stitches across the top, plus top to bottom on the inseam, and I'll meet you back here. And there we go. They look fantastic. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Now, if you want, this is great just the way it is. If you happen to be an artist, you could add some fabric medium, and you could also do some painting, maybe like do some painting so that it looks like this particular, some of these flowers or vines coming up. That would be beautiful. I've seen some people on here who paint jeans and pants. Excellent work. You could also add some rhinestones, or I happen to have these vintage style buttons, boho style, which would also be cute. I'm tempted to go ahead and add these to the front and the back because I really kind of like it. So when it comes to remaking your jeans, the world is your oyster. So I guess the next step is for me to try them on and see how they look. Okay, you ready for the preview? I think this is a much better length on me. What do you think? Oops. Yeah, I love this. It looks so good. Let me get a close-up for you. There you go. What do you think? Perfect. Aren't those cute? I love them now. So I hope you found today's little tutorial helpful and enjoyable. I do have a very small space to sew in, so sometimes it can get a little challenging when trying to show you certain angles of things and, you know, full length of me in an outfit. So I hope you can be patient with that. Well, I guess I could blow out a wall and that would make a difference, but I can't do that. Well, I could. My husband wouldn't appreciate it, so I won't do it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the process on how to shorten these pants. I had ordered, in addition to this trim, I had ordered some daisy trim with the yellow center. I got some with just the basic white. I also found some with little red centers in it, and different variations of the trim that I put on these pants had different colors. So I do plan on trying to maybe do some other, upcycles of pants and jeans, because like I said, being as short as I am, I have to hem. I mean, I don't have a choice. So I'm sure there's many of you out there who have, the same problem. So anyway, thank you again for joining me this week. And next week I will have another new fun little tutorial. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel and check back with me. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day.